Twilight Syndrome. I've previously taken you through the first 2 games in the series, the Twilight Syndrome duology. At the end of the second game, we learn that the trio's series of adventures have been partially orchestrated by some kind of entity, why they were brought here, and why Mika, the airhead of the trio, is the only one that remembers their old world and their past lives. Well, I suppose we'll have to dive in to find out. So sit back and relax and let me, for probably the first time in English, take you on a journey through Moonlight Syndrome. Mika's mother is yelling at her to hurry or she's gonna be late for school and asks her to bring the trash with her on her way out. Mika is not pleased about this because, as we already know, she's in a hurry, but she nonetheless agrees. Later, we see that Mika barely made it on time and is entering the classroom just as the teacher is taking attendance, and he of course scolds her for being tardy. During recess, Mika is complaining about her parents and her friends are calling her an asshole for being lazy and not appreciating her parents who they think are great. Mika complains that they are around too much and Kazuki then tells her that she doesn't really have a great home life herself, so she kind of envies that. Mika is seemingly uninterested in being confronted with the fact that she is a spoiled child, asks Kazuki if there's anything interesting going on, any rumors, and Kazuki says that there isn't, and asks her why she's so interested in having something going on. Mika says it's nothing, but Kazuki doesn't quite believe her. Kazuki does, however, mention that she saw a teacher acting weird and suggests that Mika should go ask Yukari about that teacher. Is it that teacher? Mika is reluctant to go talk to Yukari for some reason, but since she doesn't really want to be around her parents, she figures that an investigation will keep her occupied until they go to bed, and she heads up to Yukari's classroom to look for her. She runs into Chisato and asks her about the teacher. Chisato says that he looked fine when she saw him this morning, but that Mika should ask Yukari about it. Yukari isn't in her classroom, but her bag is still here, so she must be nearby, and Mika continues the search for her. She finds Yukari up on the roof lying on the floor looking at the sky. She makes fun of her for being lazy and taking a nap while at school, and during finals nonetheless. Yukari assures her that taking breaks is essential and asks her what she wants. Mika mentions the rumor about the chemistry teacher acting weird, and Yukari said that he had a bit of an outburst last year at a staff meeting. Mika says that they should investigate, but Yukari declines and tells Mika to leave her out of it. Mika tells a boo-hoo and then walks off to investigate on her own. She heads to the chemistry lab and she can hear that someone is in there pacing around, and she decides to run back up and tell Yukari about it, who just can't help herself and joins the investigation like the old days. The two of them open the door to the room the teacher is in, just wide enough so that they can sneak a peek, and through the crack they do indeed see the chemistry teacher pace back and forth, and then he heads towards the door and they dodge out of the way and he comes bursting through it and runs off and into the men's bathroom down the hall. The guy's probably just sick, and Yukari curses herself for getting caught up in Mika's nonsense once again, but Mika tries to convince her that he's probably just faking being sick because he's hiding something, but Yukari isn't buying it and walks off, and Mika decides to head home. But then a girl from the school's lacrosse team catches up to her and she says that she's not gonna get away with ditching practice again, and Mika relents and goes with her. By the time that practice is over, it's dark and Mika is tired and she wants to make it home before her favorite TV show starts. She overhears some girls talk about Kyoko's sudden death yesterday, and then Mika is suddenly all alone in the locker room. She tries to leave via the door, but it's locked, and then the silver-haired boy appears. Mika doesn't know who he is, and the boy is offended and reminds her that he was the kid from the other day who found her keys and gave them back to her. He knows her name and she asks him how, and he says that there are many things she doesn't know, but that will change soon. And then he says that he really isn't supposed to talk to people, but that he really likes her. The boy says that there are great forces at work that guide humans, fate you could say, and that human beings have very little influence on what happens to them or what actions they take, and he says that it must be more comfortable that way. having your choices made for you, not worrying. And then finally, he says that great pain and suffering waits for her in her future, but that he will be there to take care of her soul and guide her into the afterlife. Mika is back in the locker room, and so are the girls that disappeared earlier. The girl she was talking to asks her what is wrong, and Mika says nothing. She was just somewhere else.